All right. Hey guys, it's Kathleen Jasper and it is 10:30 on Thursday. So most of you are probably in school, but I wanted to go live today and right now is the only time I can do it. And I wanted to go live for a writing exercise so that you guys can use this week and this month to help you pass your certification exams. So, really quickly, I got this idea because I'm writing a book. It's not another workbook or another study guide. I am writing an actual book, which is really, really, really hard. And it's going to take me a long time. But I have been taking some courses and workshops. And one of the things that the instructors are always saying is you should write every day. And I too say this to my students, you guys, that in order to pass the writing, if you're struggling, you should write every day. Now, that's easy to say and it's easy to think, but it's like, what does that really look like? And so today, when I was getting ready, I was thinking, well, let me give them some sort of plan or exercises to use daily so that if you're struggling with the writing portion of your exam, you have sort of a plan to practice that open response, constructed response, whatever. Now, this plan came about because I'm taking a master's class. It's that master's class online. They're really good. They have really good production and stuff like that. But I'm taking it through. There's one with David Sedaris, and he's one of my favorite writers. He's amazing. He's super funny. He has really good essays, and I always have admired him as a writer. But he was the one that said, you got to write every day. He's like, it doesn't have to be 3 hours every day, but if you want to write a book, you have to write every day. And so I thought today I would apply that to you guys who are trying to do your teacher certification exams. So I have a little plan and you can download it in the links below. There's a link to download the plan. And it's a PDF you can use. And you can even use this with your students. I feel like this could go for you and it could also help your students. So let's take a look at that document really quickly. I'm going to show you it in a Word document so I can swipe back and forth, but it's available as a PDF download if you click the link in the description below. All right. So let me go ahead and share here really quickly. Okay. So here is the daily writing exercises that I have. And I just want to make sure I am indeed live here. Yes, I'm live. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that I was live on Facebook and YouTube. Okay. So this is what I put together for you guys. And it's a daily writing exercise plan. And it's got some topics and it's got some ways to use this. So you can see on this side here, I have all of the topics. Now, I just picked a bunch of different topics. Are you going to get these exact topics on your test? I don't know, probably not. But what we want to get in the habit of doing is writing no matter what the topic is, quickly being able to grab a topic, grab some information, and then write about it. And that's really where the exercise comes from. So I have the topics here, and then I have the text structure here. Now you can apply these text structures to pretty much every single topic over here. Like, for example, cell phones in schools, advantages, disadvantages, challenge and benefits, application in the classroom. So basically you grab a topic over here and then you grab a text structure over here and you write to it. All right. Now, that's really helpful because this has, I think there are 24 here. So that will give you some writing prompts for every day for 24 days. Now, you can either do one a day and really just write an essay every single day, or you can break up the daily activities based on your skill you're trying to do. So let's take a look at over here. I have 3 different ways that I thought would be beneficial to use these topics and text structures. So let's say I'm going to drag it out a little bit. I don't have a whole lot of time. I only have about 10 minutes a day to do something. So maybe on day 1, I grab a topic and a text structure, and I write a strong thesis statement. And maybe that's all I do on day 1. It counts as writing. You wrote a thesis statement. Sometimes coming up with the thesis statement is the hardest thing for people to do. So maybe you try that with a bunch of different topics and a bunch of different text structures. And remember, you can reuse these topics with a different text structure. So, I mean, there's like lots of different combinations and possibilities here. So maybe on day one, all I do is write my thesis statement. All right. Day two, I write my details paragraphs. So I write either I have one detail paragraph, which you can do. I'm going to show you one today. It'll make it a 3-paragraph essay, or you have 2 detailed paragraphs. It just depends on what you want to do. There is no paragraph requirement when it comes to the teacher certification test. I've never seen a rubric that says it has to be 5 paragraphs. It has to be 3 paragraphs. I recommend a 3-paragraph essay, sometimes a 4-paragraph essay. You'll see some of those videos on our YouTube channel. I'm going to show you one today, but you don't have to write a 5-paragraph essay. People are like, I have to write a 5-paragraph. Why? Nobody said you had to do that. I say death to the 5-paragraph essay, because that 3rd detail paragraph is always like dangling out there, and it's just not good. I love a 3 or a 4-paragraph essay for these particular writing tasks on the test. Now look at day 3. Day 3 is edit and revise. This is so important. Let me zoom in here. Sorry. Let's go in here. Okay. So you can see it a little better. Day 3 is edit and revise. Now, this is really the most important part here, because when you take a day off, so let's say you wrote the details paragraphs and you come back the following day, you're going to see how maybe jumbled and incoherent, or maybe some things that you can do to make it a little more pleasing to read, a little more accurate, or in terms of, spelling and all of that, or even your grammar or whatever. You may come back on day 3 and go, oh, this is like not organized very well at all. It's a little all over the place. That's really important. That's how you get better at writing. You revise it and you revise it and you revise it. You don't come out as a perfect writer after writing one essay or reading my study guide and not even writing, just reading the topics and going, okay, I know what to do on an essay. Some of you may get away with that, but others need practice. So edit and revise the detailed paragraphs. And maybe that's all you do on day 3. You read the stuff you wrote the previous day and you edit and revise, and then that's good. Day 4, you write the introduction and conclusion paragraphs. And day 5, you revise the entire essay. And you've just spent 5 days on an essay. Now, I know you don't get 5 days on the teacher certification exam. You get 30 minutes or whatever it is. However, when you drag this out and you're constantly thinking about your writing for 5 days, and you're going back in and you're revising, you're really developing those skills. Okay. So that's one way to do it, especially if you only have 10 to 15 minutes or 10 to 20 minutes a day to spend on this. Now let's take a look at the second one here. Okay. So maybe on day 1, you write a strong thesis statement and then the details paragraph or paragraphs. Day 2, you edit and revise. Day 3, you write an introduction and conclusion paragraphs. Day 4, you revise the entire essay. And then day 5, maybe after you've done this for day 1, 2, 3, and 4, on day 5, you write an essay for time. So you set that timer, you grab a topic and you grab a text structure. You go, okay, boom, that's what I'm going to do. And then you set the timer for 30 minutes and you write that essay. All right. And then go back and look at it and see how it went. All right. But again, you're dragging out the skills here, and then you're basically assessing your skills with, the write an essay for time piece. All right. Now, let's say you really want to work every day on an essay every single day. Like you really want to pass this writing exam. So you're going for it. So here's another way you could do it. You could write a 3-paragraph essay for time, or a 4-paragraph, depending on what you want to do. Day 2, you edit and revise the essay. Day 3, you write another one. Day 4, you edit and revise that essay. And then day 5, you evaluate both essays. Are they strong? Where are you weak? Where are you strong? Those types of things. The edits and revisions, I cannot say this enough. The editing and revising stage is so important because it's going to show you a lot about your writing and what's going on. So you may be someone who struggles with organization. You may be someone who struggles with specific details. You may be someone who struggles with conclusions or intros or writing a thesis statement. It just depends. And by going in and revising and evaluating those essays, that's where you're going to really understand what's going on. All right. So now let's take a look at one that I did. Okay. So I just got like some weird notification. I think we're good. We'll keep going. All right. So let's say I didn't really take this up on any one day. But I decided I was going to talk about teacher burnout and the causes and effects. So if we go back over here, I have, where's my teacher burnout? I have teacher burnout and causes and effects. So I grabbed those two things. All right. So I decided I've been talking a lot about teacher burnout lately. I'm sure you've been talking about teacher burnout lately if you're teaching. So I thought this would be a good one to write about. All right. Now, am I definitely going to get teacher burnout on test day? Probably not. But I'm here to perfect my writing, to make my writing better. Perfect is not the right word. It's not going to be perfect. I'm here to strengthen my writing technique and my writing skills. All right. So day one, I decide, you know what? I'm just going to write a thesis. I'm busy today. All I can do is write a thesis. So I wrote, understanding the causes and effects of teacher burnout can help teachers and administrators avoid this phenomenon and work on building a better work environment. Nice, strong thesis statement, broad enough where I can now get into details. Remember, we're not putting details in the thesis statement. That goes in your details paragraph. It's more of, this is what my essay is about, without saying this is what my essay is about. Don't say that. I know you're writing an essay because I'm reading it. You don't have to tell me like, now I'm going to tell you about what my essay is about. Don't say that. Just write the thesis, state it, be direct. And here I have causes and effect of teacher burnout and how to avoid them and build a better work environment. So the way I thought about this particular essay is I always write my details first because it's the easiest thing to write for me. I don't start from the top and work to the bottom. You know that if you've seen any of my videos. So I went ahead and wrote the details here. And I thought, okay, the way I would structure this, and I did it quickly, I thought, okay, I'm going to write all the details of teacher burnout. But for the conclusion, I'm going to give some solutions to the problem. So that's a good way to do a conclusion. If you struggle with conclusions, solutions, call to action, things like that are really good for the conclusion. All right. So day two, I wrote the details paragraph here. So I'm not going to read this whole thing to you because you can read and you're going to get this in a download. But basically, look at my first sentence here. Teacher burnout is usually caused by two things: lack of time and lack of support. Now, what that does is that supports my thesis statement because I'm understanding the causes caused. And now I'm giving you two things I'm going to talk about in this details paragraph. Am I going to include a bunch of other things? No, I'm just going to talk about lack of time and lack of support, but then I'm going to get into the specifics. I'm probably going to end up reading this whole thing to you because I need to show you a few things. So I am going to end up reading it to you. So I have here, teachers are being asked to do more in a school day, making it impossible to catch up, right? I already see a little typo here. I left it in there on purpose because when you go to the sample essay, the real essay here, you're going to see how I revised, because you got to revise, and you're going to see where I fixed these mistakes. So I left them in here on purpose. So you don't have to send me an email and tell me that I have typos, because I know I left it in here on purpose. All right. So I have doing more in a school day, making it impossible to catch up. So that supports lack of time, right? So again, I almost have like a mini thesis inside my details paragraph. So this lack of time is right here. Now I need to get specific. You can't just say, oh, they got to do more and more. Well, what is more and more, right? So we have, for example, not only do teachers have to plan, organize, and execute highly effective classroom instruction, but they must also participate in professional development, attend faculty meetings, and organize parent-teacher conferences. So again, I just listed 6 specific things that teachers have to do in order to make sure that they're, meeting all the needs of the school, right? So, that's specific, 6 things. Now, here I get even more specific. If teachers had more planning time, this would not be a problem. So here we go back to lack of time. However, in many schools, teachers only have 20 to 30 minutes of planning each day. Some teachers only have a planning period every other day. Tell me in the comments if you're one of those teachers. That is just so hard to have a planning only every other day. That is one of the things I think is so, I'm off topic here a little bit, but I'm going to go off on a little rant. I think it's really ridiculous that districts and states want so much out of teachers, but give them 20 minutes a day or 20 minutes every other day to plan. It's like ridiculous. So then I get even specific again. This forces teachers to grade papers, answer emails, and lesson plan beyond their contract hours, causing them to miss out on family time and much needed rest. Again, specific. I'm supporting my overall thesis here, and I'm supporting my topic sentence here. All right. Now we want to make sure we hit lack of support, because I said there are 2 things. All right. In addition, when teachers feel overwhelmed, administration does little to support or help. Often, administration adds more tasks to a teacher's day that is already completely full. All of this causes an increase in teacher burnout and an exodus from the profession altogether. So I hit it, right? I hit lack of time a little bit more than lack of support. But I found I could get more specific details for lack of time. But my lack of support is right here. It starts right here. So I hit them both. They're all there. All right. So what I would then go do is put it down for a day and come back and read it. And that's when when I go back, because like I said before, I'm writing a book. I go back and read a chapter or read a bunch of stuff I put down. I'm like, oh, this is terrible. And I'll wipe it out, or I'll change a bunch of things, or I'll start in a different way. Revision and edits, that's writing. Writing is not just sitting down and writing a bestseller at your computer. It's literally hundreds and thousands of revisions. When David Sedaris in his masterclass talks about it, he had 13 revisions of the introductory paragraph to one of his New Yorker essays, 13 revisions to one paragraph over an expanded amount of time. And if you read his work, those 13 revisions, they make it so much better. He's an amazing author, but that's the kind of dedication. I know you're not trying to be the next great American author, but you should definitely put this down and revise it 1 or 2 times. All right. So then the next day I say, okay, I'm good. I've revised. And now I want to do my intro and my conclusion paragraph. So let's take a look at the introduction. What I did was I did this so that you guys could see this. Here's my thesis. So I've got understanding the causes and effect of teacher burnout can help teachers and administrators avoid this phenomenon and work on building a better work environment. And that was my thesis. So I already have 1 sentence of my intro done, and that's going to be tagged on to the end. And then I start here. It's not surprising that teacher burnout is a reality in most American public schools. Okay. General statement, it's just to get things going. Teachers are being asked to do more and more with fewer and fewer resources. Okay. You'll notice that in my final essay, I actually revised this. I just say more with fewer, because more and more with fewer and fewer is too much, too wordy. Studies show 50% of new teachers leave the profession before their 5th year because of feeling overwhelmed and being unsupported. Again, is all focused on the topic, and then my thesis here. Okay. Now let's talk about this studies show. Studies do show, because I've done a lot of research on this topic, that 50% of new teachers leave the profession. But do you have access to all of the data in the world? No, but you could just say studies show a majority of people feel this way. That's fine. That's just fluff. You're not going to be called out on your stats. This is an essay for an exercise in writing. You're not writing a dissertation. This is not being published out in the world. So you can kind of use fake stats. And I have done lots of videos on using fake stats, because it's a way to put specifics in your essay that's related to your topic. So if you feel comfortable doing that, do it. I do know this statistic well, because I've reported on it before. I actually think it's more now. More teachers are leaving, including veteran teachers, but I knew I could put this in there easily because I'm familiar with the topic. All right. Now let's talk about the conclusion. And again, notice I'm writing out of order. I started with my thesis statement, which is the last sentence of my introduction. So that was day 1. Then I went to details on day 2. And then I revised my details maybe on day 3. Then I wrote my intro, day 4. And then I wrote my conclusion, probably day 4 as well, intro and conclusion. And then day 5, put it all together and revise. So let's take a look at the conclusion. Now, here I have the word solving. Remember, I said in a conclusion, it's really good to have a solution or maybe a call to action, depending on what text structure you're using. So I just have a kind of overarching statement here. Solving the teacher burnout problem is complicated, but there are things teachers and administration can do immediately to solve this problem. So I'm about to tell you how to solve it, okay? And here I go into specifics again. First, teachers can decide what they are willing and unwilling to do after their contract hours are over. So I talked about this in my newsletter this week. What are you willing to do? How much are you willing to sacrifice? Is the state sacrificing for you? Is the district sacrificing for you? Probably not. So maybe you should put some boundaries up around your work. There's nothing wrong with saying no. And no, thank you is a complete sentence. So I talked about that in my video this week in the newsletter. If you're not part of the newsletter, you will be if you go to download this document. So definitely check that out. Perhaps they only spend 30 to 40 minutes a night doing work at home. So maybe that's a boundary that you put up. I'm only going to work 30 to 40 minutes during the week on work stuff. Or they decide that weekends are a time to unwind and be with family and friends and setting boundaries for around weekend work. So you're setting boundaries like either I'm not working on the weekend or I'm only going to do an hour this weekend, something like that. And then I go to school leaders. School leaders can eliminate tasks for teachers that are not essential to student achievement, which will eliminate the endless busy work. Again, specifics. Also, districts can provide more planning time. Yes, please. For teachers, because more planning times means better lessons, more effective classroom instruction, and increased student achievement. Again, the solution really is make teachers happy so students can achieve, right? These small fixes can reduce teacher burnout and reduce the number of teachers leaving the profession. Nice closing sentence there. No big deal. Moving on. That's it. Now let's take a look at what it looks like all together. And again, I'm not going to read it all to you. I recommend you download it. Sorry, I'm trying to get this all on one page here. Hang on one second. That's too small. Too big. Come on. Whatever. There we go. Okay. So if you look at the sample essay, you'll see some revisions I made. So definitely look at both of my practice and then my essay here. I did make some tweaks and that's going to make the writing a little bit better. So again, I left those in the exercise. I left those mistakes or those revisions out, and then I did revise here. So notice here, I've got my intro paragraph that I wrote on day 4, based on my plan. And I underlined this here just so you could see the thesis. You do not underline and bold the thesis on test day. You just put it there. But I like to show you where I put my thesis. Now, some people say, well, you don't have to have a thesis at the end of the first paragraph. That is true. But if you're writing to pass a certification exam, I recommend making it easy on the reader, the person who is grading your essay, to show you have a strong thesis statement and everything in your essay goes back to that thesis. So this is kind of like a glaring green arrow, like here's my thesis, but you do not have to underline and bold. In fact, I would recommend not doing that. It should just look like that. But I underlined and bolded it so you could see that that is in fact my thesis, okay? And then I go into my details paragraph here with my specific details, and I make sure I focus on lack of time and lack of support. And then my final paragraph is here with the solutions and all of that. And I have a nice 3-paragraph essay here. This would totally pass me through. Again, am I going to get this exact question and writing prompt on the exam? Probably not. You might not see any of these on the exam. I don't know. I'm not, I have no idea what you're going to get on the exam, and you shouldn't know either. I just threw in some topics and threw in some text structure so you could mix and match these things and then go through this plan here the way you see fit, to help you better manage your daily exercises. Okay. So it's a kind of an explicit outline of what you can do to write. So that was kind of short for one of my videos. I feel like I go on and on all the time, right? So anyways, I know many of you won't be able to watch this until you get home from school today, but I highly recommend that you do. And you can download the document I just showed you in the links below. All you have to do is enter your email. And if you're already on our email list, you'll just get once you enter the email, it doesn't do anything. You get the document, but you don't get added to anything else. But if you're not part of our email list, it's definitely something good to be a part of, because I do exclusive video content just for my email subscribers that you will not find on YouTube or Facebook or whatever. So definitely check that out. I'm trying to think of anything else before I sign off. I hope you guys are having a great new year. We've got some videos coming up on YouTube about goals, SMART goals, and also a video coming up about the master's program. Like, what masters should you get? Should you get a master's? And I'm going to be doing some videos on the dissertation process and the PhD. So we got a lot of requests for that type of stuff. And also a side hustle, how to start a side hustle as a teacher if you are trying to, expand your skills and your empire, so to speak. So anyways, I am happy to be with you here today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves. And remember, boundaries are good. You can put up boundaries about work, especially for you overachievers out there. Like, you don't have to let the district take your entire life. You can kind of say, hey, I'm willing to do this, but I'm not willing to do that. All right. So anyways, I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.